Well, hello. My name is Ashton,
I'm Kayla.
and today we are taking Taylor Swift but make it horror, a series where we take Taylor Swift songs and turn them into horror stories, and also making it Christmas. So, this story was written by Kayla Danielle, and it is called The Curse of Pine Ridge Farm, inspired by Christmas Tree Farm, which is a song that I've not really listened to. Kayla, do you want to start with talking about why this song and kind of what inspiration you grabbed from it? Also, the story is very light, but there are spoilers, so yeah, just keep that in mind. And I don't know why I'm putting you guys with my highlighter.
Well, I really wanted to try to do a story for "'Tis the Damn Season, but I just couldn't come up with one. And then when I eventually did, I was like, this is kind of also like a combination of like "'Tis the Damn Season, but another song by a completely different artist. And so I'd rather just write it for myself and not do it for the series. And then I was like, oh my God, what's a wintry song? And then all of a sudden I was just like, Christmas Tree Farm, little girl on a farm. Yeah. And I figured it was also nice because I didn't really want to think too much for the holidays. I just wanted, I was like, that's also perfect because I can just like write something that's horror, but also like a bit more lighthearted and not as like in depth or uh too many. I mean, like obviously it's got like a message to it, but not like anything that's not in every other Christmas story in the entire world. So that's kind of why I chose this one, is I really wanted something just like light and just the when I listened to the song, it also just put a visual of the opening in my head. So it's just like, yeah, cool. It's not really a
Yeah.
deep meaning. There's
So
just that.
yeah, so I actually have never been to a Christmas tree farm before.
Yeah,
Is
me
what
either.
you kind of like described in it. Oh, really? I was
Yeah.
gonna ask, like, did you pull this from like a time in your past where you went like slutting at a Christmas tree farm? But apparently not.
No, this was like completely just what do I think a Christmas tree farm would be? I'm not going to look too much into it because I'd rather just go with my imagination. And it's Christmas, and this is an unrealistic story anyway, so it doesn't need to be realistic.
Yeah, that's fair. I was talking to my boyfriend about this and was like, "Hey, like I've never been to one. Like, have you?" He's like, "Yeah, it was like fun as a kid." And I was just like, "Oh, okay. Well, my parents always did artificial trees, and we never got a real one."
Yeah, we usually went to like Lowe's or something, so we didn't do the whole farm thing. I do actually want to give credit to my husband because, as you know, because I've told you a million times, I am the worst with coming up with titles, and sometimes I don't come up with them until like right before I post, and it's the bane of my existence. I hate it. And I just couldn't come up with anything, and I was getting so frustrated. Everything was so stupid. And Andrew was just like, "What about the Curse of Pine Ridge Farm?" I was like, cool. He's like, "'Cause isn't that the farm that Taylor Swift grew up on?" And I was like, Google. Yes, you are
Oh
correct,
man,
sir. And he must have looked it up or something beforehand, but and he's
yeah,
like, that
I
way
was
you
like,
have a little nod to Taylor Swift in your title, even though it's not actually supposed to be set on her farm, just like a little nod. I'm like, there we go.
yeah, I I'm impressed that he was just able to come up with that before you were, honestly.
Yeah, well, I think he probably set. I get very frustrated sometimes to where, like, I know I've spoken to you, like, I get very frustrated to the point where common sense doesn't kick in until like 3 hours after my frustration. And then I'm like, oh, that was easy. Whereas Andrew, he's just kind of like, there's a problem. Google. Hey, what about that? And I'm just like, I would have sat here for like 3 hours being annoyed before I like would have thought to Google what the name was where she was when she was a kid. So I get
Yeah.
things done. That's just why I
Fair.
get things done very slowly.
Speaking of problem, in the song, there is a quote. It's like, "In the town, kids are dreaming of sleighs, and they're warm and they're safe."
Yeah.
That's not what's happening in the story.
No, I mean, she was warm and safe before she went outside.
Yeah. Like, I don't think anybody's gonna wanna go back to this farm unlike Taylor Swift, who's just like, "Yes, like, I think about this, and it's so sweet."
Such fond memories. Let me just ruin your childhood.
I caught, like, a couple of nods to the song Christmas Tree Farm, but for the most part, was it really just inspiration from there being a Christmas tree farm?
Basically, that and like I like to listen to like the old-timey version on Spotify. And like when I thought of that, I just like that like just the music and everything. Of course, you're gonna think right beside the fireplace and oh, looking out into the stuff. So it was more just like a vibe and the location than anything else.
Okay. So, in the story, do you want to kind of do a summary of it?
Sure. So there's this little girl, which she has remained unnamed. Um, And obviously, she lives on this Christmas tree farm, and her mom is taking her out so that she can, go have a good time, look at the trees, go slip, like all that stuff that you typically do when you live on this farm that I know nothing about in real life. Um, and her dad's on break from, because it's a, family-owned thing, so he's on his break and he's coming to get his daughter so that he can bring her over to where all the trees are and everything. And on the way there, they hear a woman screaming, but they can't exactly hear what she's screaming. But we know that she's screaming like a name. We just can't hear it yet. And she asks her parents to go sledding, and so, but she takes a little detour through all the trees, and that's when she kind of like starts just noticing little things are off. Like she sees the woman who was screaming. Now she hears that this mother's calling for her son, and then she sees this little boy who's so excited about a tree, and then all of a sudden he gets really scared, and she like sees like this little knit cap on the ground, and she's like, yeah, okay, that's weird, but then she goes off sledding because she's a little kid. And when she's done, she ends up hearing like another kid scream, and then all of a sudden they disappear. And it's not like we see a whole lot of what's going on, but like basically, like she ends up finding out that this tree that's like the largest tree on the farm is like eating the children, basically, like eating the little greedy children. So,
Is this kind of a life for a life situation going
uh,
on?
um, it's more so just like the original idea of it was like, basically, yes, like you take from nature, nature's gonna take back kind of thing. But also just like, hey, kids, don't be greedy. Because that's why, like, I know at the end, like, I don't really go into like the other kids who've been taken, but at the end, you have the little boy with the box that has nothing in it, and he's just like, meh. And so that was kind of just like the little indicator of like, yeah, the trees, even though I don't specify it, it's like, you children are greedy. Consequences.
Gotcha. This is just kind of a this is your actual like danger like in this town like
Yeah,
like other places have Krampus and I don't know.
basically.
Okay.
Like, like that's why the little girl, like, Um, also, I don't know if you noticed, but even though this is not fan fiction, I know people constantly criticize Taylor Swift because she grew up on like this big, and they're like, yeah, she grew up on a farm. It's more like a mansion. And I'm like, okay, sure, I can understand where you're coming from, but also
Yeah.
like, man, it's not the little kid's fault that their parents like have, so like showing also like a little like nod to the, I don't know if nod's the correct word in this term, of acknowledgement of how people perceive her childhood, I guess. Even
Yeah,
though
I
it's,
kind
yeah.
of noticed that at the end, like, because that was like specifically the moment where the girl is talking to the last little boy that she actually sees get eaten, right?
Yeah, I was like, man, this doesn't have a lot of nods to the song. I need something at least in the realm of Taylor Swift here.
Oh, that's fair. When did the song come out? Because I'm not really familiar with this one.
Oh,
Because I thought I saw 2019 on Spotify, but I feel like it's older than that.
I feel like that's probably right because I don't remember hearing it before I lived in Texas, I think, but and I've only lived in Texas since like the tail end of 2019, so
Okay, that's
sounds
fair.
about
I
right.
just, for some reason, it just seems older to me.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it does. So this it makes more sense that it was the greedy kids now. Uh, is this kind of something that the oldest tree, like the one that is just kind of like centered around, like the one that kind of has like the scary face on it that the girl in the story is trying really hard to ignore, is just starting to do this year? Or is this kind of like a folklore tale for this fictional town that you came up with?
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I just want to know like a little bit more about that.
Uh, I wanted to keep that kind of like a up to you kind of thing because I feel like even if it was happening, it obviously wasn't happening as often as it is in this particular year because
Yeah.
otherwise I don't think anyone would ever show back up to that farm. Um,
Yeah.
so if things have happened throughout the years, it's been very few and far between, and this year it was just like, okay, little kids, you're mine. It's just
Yeah.
like a silly cautionary tale.
Yeah. I like little stories like this. Like uh it reminds me of scary stories to tell in the dark and the one episode of Sabrina, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, where they have like a bunch of like little like stories of that are basically cautionary tales. And I don't really see it very often with Christmas. So it was kind of fun that you just decided to like kind of bring this up.
Yeah, I was just like, I wanted something that seemed like it was written for children while not exactly being for children. So I was just like, yeah, let me, yeah, little better behave children, little finger wag kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I grew up reading Brothers Grimm. This could be for children.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah. I mean, like, simple stories are fun sometimes. And
Mm.
you also wrote this one pretty early, didn't you? Like, because I think you said that you were done with this at the end, beginning of November.
Yes, I believe so. My exact date, which I can tell you later, is in that little box behind me, crate thing, but I don't have it at the top of my head.
And I guess that's honestly a lot of what I had for this, because this is, like we said, a very, very short story. But I did kind of
Yeah.
want to ask you, so, like, I noticed that in the story, you kind of had, like, the thought of the little kid about like how happy Santa would be to see like all the decorations and like on the tree and stuff. And was that something you thought about like as a kid? Like, did you think about Santa and like how he would like
Yeah.
look at all the different houses?
I like not necessarily like that. But I think that more came from not from what Santa would think. That was, but more so like how happy I was when, because we had like very mismatched ornaments as a kid, and like the little Pocahontas, and then ones with our pictures on it, and like random little things. And
Yeah.
every time I went to a friend's house, theirs always looked different than ours. And so it came more so from like what made me happy when I was little, more so than what I thought Santa. I didn't really think about that, I think, that I can remember when I was little of, oh, what would Santa think of the tree? But like I figured that would be a little kid thought.
Yeah, that's
So,
fair. I It's so interesting, like the last couple of years, like living with my boyfriend and like kind of seeing like all the decorations that he like acquired. And like I don't know, that's something that I never really thought about when I was little. Like when I started living with a significant other, what the house would end up looking like for Christmas.
yeah, it's yeah, I don't know. I think Christmas looks so like it's funny because it looks like almost exactly the same for everybody while at the same time looking very different for everybody.
Yeah.
So, and I think ornaments is one of like the big things that Because sometimes you'll go into people's homes and they just have this perfectly curated tree of just like the perfect bulbs. And then other people, like their tree is like this mismatched like mess, but it's really like nice to go and look and see like what's personalized and a little picture of someone from when they were like one, and then
Yeah.
like maybe like an old pet or something that they no longer have, and how like I don't know. That's where that came
Yeah.
from.
Like, I could be biased, but I really like the mismatched tree more because it's just like all of the collections of like memories over time.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Although this year I don't really know what I'm doing because last year my youngest kitten was too young to climb up the tree, but this year I'm going to kill him.
Good luck.
Thank you. Because he knows that he's not supposed to because he's been yelled at enough. But
But
if
it's
this
a
is
tree.
a 1-year-old kitten who's like, I want to go climb this. This is the tallest thing in the house, and I want to be a part of it. Like I'm like pulling up like little clumps of his hair from the top branches right now.
Hey, that is part of Christmas. This is his
Yeah,
Christmas, Ashton.
I know.
But
His Christmas is destruction. All right. Well, anyways, this has been a very short and I was going to say short and sweet, but I think I referenced Sabrina Carpenter last time that we talked about something. Man, this
Hey,
is
she
not
has
a
a net.
Sabrina Carpenter story.
I haven't watched it yet, but she has a Netflix special, like Christmas
I
Netflix special.
know.
You haven't watched it?
I want to watch that.
Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, that was my Christmas gift to you is something very short. So
Thank you. And yeah, so the story, it is linked below if you have not already clicked on that and watched it. And we will be here same time next month on January 13th for my story that I have not decided on yet because the only thing in my brain is winter and I keep finding inspiration for non-winter stuff.
that's fair.
But it will be inspired by a Taylor Swift song.
Woo!
Woo!
Yeah.
Alrighty.
All right. Well,
So,
happy holidays, everybody. Yeah.
yay!